All set? Ready? Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City of Kingston's Tree Commission meeting. Today is December 13th, 2022. It's 5 o'clock. We're here at City Hall. First order of business is just to stand up and pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I just want to ask everybody, please, to just silence your cell phones so that we don't have interference. And my name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the planning director for the City of Kingston. And I'll go around the table and ask the commission members first to just introduce themselves. Start with you.
I'm Vicente Archer, just a tree commission member.
Elizabeth Collins, Tree Commission member, representative of the Memorial Tree Fund.
Evan King, Tree Commission member.
Okay, and
Collins, I'm the liaison with the Conservation Advisory Council.
thank you. And we also have Kyla D-Day with us, from Assistant Planner from the City of Kingston Planning Office. So we'll get right into our agenda this evening. With regards to the tree reviews, the first two, going to put off discussion because the individuals are not here tonight. So we're going to start with 93 Wall Street. It's a tree removal. It is with regards to a sidewalk project that the City of Kingston is doing on Wall and Henry Street, or no, Franklin Street, sorry. So Keith, I'll turn it over to you. Just turn your mic on and you can introduce yourself, go through it a little bit. I do have packets I'll send around.
My name is Keith Phillips. I'm an engineering technician with the City of Kingston. I'm here to represent the Franklin Street project. It is a project funded by the New York State DEC to revamp our sidewalks and ramps. We've completed most of the project this year. However, there is a section at Wall and Franklin where we need to install 2 more ramps. One of these ramps is obstructed by a tree. This tree is creating hazards because it has lifted up the sidewalk. It's destroying the curb, a catch basin next to it. And we've reviewed this with MJ, the engineering consultant. Originally, they tried to save the tree, but as time went on, we realized we cannot properly install the sidewalks without removing this tree. We do intend to replace the tree with either a service berry or a yellow wood. We're not exactly sure yet, but somewhere in the vicinity of the old tree.
Were the undergrounds marked out, Keith? I know we talked about that. Did they get marked out yet?
Not that I've seen.
I didn't see them
think-
either.
I
Yeah,
think because of the snow and
okay.
that it didn't get properly marked out.
Okay. On this one, this is directly in front of an old stone house, which obviously is on the National Register. That property owner has been contacted and has consented to the removal of the tree. We wanted to make sure that they were, you know, in line with this as well. It is a beautiful old tree, but it is heaving the sidewalk horribly. And in order for them, we talked about alternatives to making crosswalks in other locations, but that was not an option here. So
The rationale is that this crosswalk is being
Well, we can't properly
The
install
plan-
the,
Maybe the plan set might be easier. Should have a copy of the plan in there. I hope. Drawing like this. I don't know, it didn't get in that copy. Okay, all right, so he's got it laid out right there. Yeah.
You map that out, is the, would you do, safety to see if there's a spot in that location to plant another tree? That doesn't obstruct, that doesn't interfere with any underground utilities or plumbing or whatever issues may be there.
I haven't personally spec'd out a location yet, but we can as soon as possible.
One of the things we did talk about was getting the underground marked out. We had hoped to have that done before this meeting. There is a sense that there might be a water line in close proximity to this tree. Just based on the property and where where they believe their connection is to their house.
Subject to deterioration.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if they spec'd it out, so. But at any rate, probably won't happen until the spring now.
Correct. We can't get the contractor back in until the spring, and pouring concrete in this temperatures
It's not good.
is not good, so.
Well, I thought this was bluestone.
It's a mixture of bluestone and colored and stamped concrete.
Today or,
On Franklin Street, that's what we installed.
okay.
So
I
the,
thought from Clinton Avenue to Wall Street was part of the old stockade area, and that was all supposedly bluestone, I thought. I didn't look at it.
There is bluestone and in the street along in front of this house, and because it is on the register, it's also subject to the bluestone
Right,
regulations. All right. So the bluestone that is there will be pulled up and preserved and saved. And the crosswalk areas, what Keith was explaining was where these ADA ramps are being built, rather than using the bluestone in those locations, they pour the
Stamp cement. Yeah.
right,
And they
the
color it.
colored, right, yep. And that's what will be done on the opposite side. And then the bluestone, though, will be preserved to the maximum extent possible.
That's just reusing the existing, or are you gonna replace any of the
whenever we can,
damaged?
we reuse the old bluestone. We actually create a concrete bed for it, and then some sand bedding, and then either the old or new bluestone goes on top of that. That's to protect it from future heaving, from roots, frost. But we will use the existing bluestone to the extent that we can. If we can't use it because it crumbles or disintegrates, we do have brand new pieces that we try to match up as best we can, color wise and size wise.
Quite a bit of leftover from when they did Franklin Street, so hopefully you can reuse some of that, since it's probably of the same age group.
Yeah, that actually is in our stone yard.
Over there,
Yeah,
back of the Y.
right. So we can pull from that pile.
Any other questions?
we have any plan to plant, maybe not in the same location, but some other location? Because I think the idea was, yes, we remove one tree, but like we will prefer to plant another tree, maybe not in the exact location, but maybe in particular not this tree, it is like in city of Kingston, we just plant another one to replace it.
Right, Keith did say that it is the intent to put another tree in close proximity, obviously not in the exact same location. In the spring, after the utilities underground is marked out as well. He mentioned serviceberry. If there's another tree that maybe the commission might want to recommend or suggest, you might want to advise now if there's something
What kind of
else.
tree is that that's coming out? Do you know the,
I believe it is a sugar maple.
It's a big maple, yeah.
Now, on Franklin Street, we did plant a bunch of different trees, some of them being serviceberry and yellowwood. There was also a smoke bush and some others on that list. So we did plant multiple, I think up to 24 trees onto Franklin.
final planting never is good, so that's good, but a maple, sugar maple, even though it has a nice crown and would be another nice tree, but I think we opted to look at.
We have, because they've been impacted of late by different diseases, we've not been recommending that they be used as street trees for a while.
But that's your recommendation. Sue, did Sue give you
Well,
a tree recommendation or?
the tree recommendations came from MJ Engineering, and they recommend a serviceberry because of the height it grows to. It doesn't interfere with the utilities as much.
Utilities on that street, on that corner? Yeah.
And
Yep.
while we were inspecting the tree the other day, Central Hudson is actually using the tree as an anchor.
Yep.
Which is probably not appropriate. So they'll have to remove their anchor and find a different place for that.
When the tree is removed also, it'll need to be ground, the stump would need to be ground below grade. And we look for a minimum of 6 inches below grade and soil put back in so that the site is leveled then.
And on the plans there, they have restoration, and they have done restoration throughout Franklin Street. And they have run into stumps throughout, and they have ground them down and restored the site.
Ah, yeah. Yeah,
Right, yeah, we are.
issues.
Not just the issues, but we already had so many maples.
Have a
As far
tendency
as
to,
the
root structure
survey. did the survey.
always bubbles up too, so.
Well, there's another like a 2 tree, like I think is close south side of the street, right? Would it impact the sidewalk in a future, or because it seems like the 2 other trees, the same tree or the same type of tree? I mean, would it impact like the sidewalk, or like it is for our construction today? Then would it, also, how should I put this some way, just like, that there's a sidewalk, right? And it will conjunction to, the sidewalk currently we have, like, but for the safety in the future, do we ever look at that way, or to consider the safety of the pedestrian?
I think the plantings are done, you're using structural soils, correct?
Correct. We usually have a 4 foot minimum area, grassed area. And then we use structural soil, so it reduces the chances of the roots growing underneath. Hope, and we try to use species where the roots grow down instead of out. This area may not be appropriate because we can't get that grass strip in there, so we may have to place the new tree further down the road, or plus the utilities, we probably can't do it in the exact same area.
How wide is that grass strip? Is it doesn't look like it's 4 feet, but
It's not. And the house sits right close to the street, so it's. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I need a motion. Motion.
That's an appropriate location with another tree.
With all
With all the
conditions.
conditions.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor. I need a second. Second by Vince. Motion and second. Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Hey. So we're gonna skip now to the next item on the agenda. There is a grant opportunity. And we have Natalie from the grants, who's our grants manager. Natalie is working to try and put an application together for that grant, for those grant funds. So Natalie, you just want to speak to the commission? You're looking for a letter of support probably, or something to go along with this from the commission?
Yes, so
Okay.
the grant is through the New York State DEC for tree planting in disadvantaged communities after tree loss. It would provide up to $50,000 for tree removal primarily for tree plantings, but it would allow for some tree removals. And it also has a major component of the program would be to have a local partner to help with outreach, education, and community involvement. So that's what we're hoping that the Tree Commission would participate in. So we're wondering if you would like to be our partner in that grant application and program.
Dale?
So that would be up for, great
Of
question.
course.
Yeah, that part would be up for discussion and some brainstorming. I can give you a couple of examples that they provided. Actually, one thing that is eligible would be some sort of Arbor Day celebration, which I know the city does anyway, so that this might be a nice way to get some of that funded. Education for tree care for both the community or for staff and volunteers. Tree walks, any sort of educational or outreach thing related to the trees within the city. I can actually see it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she's been working with Kyla in my office already closely.
Workshops.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. We did it, when we did it with George, it was basically geared to, the general property owner. To give them, the knowledge and the skill set to go out there and trim their own trees, whether, they're street trees or on their property. It didn't matter. And that I think was very good. I would be open to doing something along those lines again. I think that, it certainly is something that's viable.
Something that we would need to decide at this meeting. We could have further meetings about this and really flesh out like exactly what we want to do and then those details.
So the community center, we as a commission had talked about, the kids that are there, having them involved in the tree planting, and that may even be a good segue for this, you know, to,
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you had any dialogue with, I guess Kyla had some dialogue with you about it, but
Yeah, she told me about that. So yeah, I'm open to whatever the group would decide is most needed in the community. Or what would be the best match for this grant
that
opportunity.
would be good. I mean, for that area where the community center is, I think that whole neighborhood could use and get kids involved within the community.
I think what Natalie's looking for is actually, you know, and as having the tree commission members take on an active role. So be real participatory in whatever is, you know, done and helping to not only put a program together, but also participate and
Yeah,
be part
exactly.
of it, not sit on the sidelines, so to speak.
It's actually,
All the details.
it's a rolling deadline and it's already open. So we're trying to move as quickly as possible.
In your specific areas.
That's something we're working on internally with planning and Parks and Rec. We're thinking mostly city parks.
That's not a good question to ask, but do we have a limit of the fund or the grant itself, like how much?
The amount.
Yeah, the
Yeah, it's up to 50,000. and-
overall,
Yeah, for the
Okay.
whole program. And up to 20% of that can be used for tree removal. And obviously a big component of this is tree planting, so the majority of the funding will go towards that. And then whatever we would need for whatever type of programming, educational programming we're going to do.
And just so that you're aware, I mean, the grant is based on the impacts of a community went through based on ash tree loss. That doesn't mean you're replanting ash trees, just so everyone is aware that they wouldn't necessarily, it's not that, it's
Right.
planting other species just to replace those lost, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, inventory that we did for the city of Kingston, does that define?
Yeah, we have a list. Actually, the engineering department's making that up.
Okay, good. Mhm. Great. But even if the tree wells are still there, that's still viable. No, but right, but
Yes, there were 45. Right, exactly. And also it has to be.
find it as disadvantaged to neighborhoods.
Yes,
that mean?
So they provided the map. I'm not sure of what their parameters were.
What areas of Kingston, maybe if you could
Oh, the
describe like
areas,
where in Kingston that would be, I mean, it's
large
not the city
areas.
of Kingston as a whole. Like Kyla said, there are certain areas of the city that are eligible and others are not, so.
I mean, according to the map, it looked like maybe 70% of the city fell in that category. So there are some parks that didn't, that we were looking at, like Forsyth and Hutton.
Hutton, yeah,
So those wouldn't be eligible, but Kingston Point. Maybe
Block Park probably. Hasbrook,
Yes. Mhm. Oh, that would be great.
I live I live a block away from Hutton
Okay.
Park, so I'd like to see another tree.
there's the map. Is that easier for you to see?
Yeah, you said there wasn't, but that's okay. Okay, so we know that at least we eliminated 2 parks within the city of Kingston,
Right,
Sutton and Forsyth. I don't know of any other than
well,
down
you have
here,
Block Park.
Block Park.
Block Park is in this lighter shade of purple.
What is that?
But it's still eligible.
So,
It would. That would be a good park. Lauren Park is eligible.
About, what's that park? Name evades me now. One on Wirt Street.
Oh, yeah, that would be eligible. Cornell Street Park, Cornell Park. That's eligible too. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That'd be a nice area. Okay. So,
We'll also be working with the DEC forester, the local forester, on choosing appropriate
Sitting
species.
right behind you. George. Yeah.
Mm.
Just before you said something, no.
To help us choose appropriate species and specific locations.
nice.
Fund itself, like can the fund combine with certain project, like local project or?
Not sure.
Know of any.
Can look into that if there is anything that would be a good match.
I mean, of course, like it's for the certain area, but like any like a specific like restriction of the fund can be used or something. Because I thought about there's there's certain case like we approve about the tree replacement couple months ago, and like some people they were looking for funding to remove the tree and
Right. We would be, I mean, that's a possibility. What happens, Natalie, is the Department of Public Works, as they go around the city, will identify trees that are dead or severely are structurally unstable or have some kind of a disease, maybe infestation. And they'll give that list to the commission and we'll look at them and we'll make the decision. You know, generally it is to remove the tree. And because they're street trees, the way our code is written, as you know, the property owner that abuts that tree is the responsible entity. Many cases, many times, it becomes a financial burden for those individuals to take the tree down. So we try and help them with some kind of funding to offset that cost. The Memorial Tree Fund, for example, has a program, but it's limited funds. That once they get authorization from us to remove the tree or a directive to remove the tree, they apply to the Memorial Tree Fund and there's some funding that's available there to help them, cut those costs down. We've put in for the budget for next year, some funding. Hopefully my idea is to help with some removal, use some of those funds to help individuals remove the trees as well. And so that, is what I think Evan's looking at. Can some of this be used for those cases? And my guess would be yes, but we'd have
That's a
to
great
look at them.
idea. I will look into that.
Okay,
Is this limited just to parks or is it limited to, no? So the tree,
Anywhere on the
anything
map
in that, those,
Even if
those,
we're-
that's
yeah.
that's
Mhm.
city-owned property.
Right.
For removal.
they already said,
Yeah.
it's like taking down shooting poles or something, or shoot. But you mentioned that they also said that you could take it down 20%. I was told he was, that was no.
Yeah.
I would doubt that.
Okay.
You need an answer.
Yesterday.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is a rolling application, so we're trying to move quickly. So as soon as possible. Otherwise, we would have to seek out another partner. Of course, you could discuss amongst yourselves. Right, and then, get back to me in a couple of days. Make sure there
So
is,
does the project would have to be defined for the grant application,
yes.
correct? Okay, all right, so we would need to,
A bigger arbor. That is one option.
well, I mean, we do an Arbor Day. I think this is an opportunity to get some funding to maybe expand our, what we can do to promote the urban forest in Kingston. So maybe taking on something additional than what we're doing right now. I think that's what I would like to see. We've got an opportunity. Let's take advantage of it rather than just use it to offset what we're already doing. Let's expand a little bit and grow the program. And I think the workshop is I think that's a good idea. It would take some time and, that's what we need the commission members to commit to, would be your own time. So that's what we would be in need of.
Endless possibilities. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. And he, he might be open to doing something. Yeah. He's around.
Of course, if you are in favor of partnering with us on this, I will, if there wants to be a point person that wants to communicate with me, we can have a phone conversation, another meeting. I will send you the guidelines and you can get a better sense of what their goals are.
The board's or the commission's sense today? You want to take a couple days, think it through? We're all busy these days, but Natalie's also looking to move this project forward, so I don't want to keep her hanging either.
But from
Corinne and Amanda, I would imagine Corinne would be in favor of this. She's, I can't picture her not being. Amanda, I think it would be a time issue, but she's, like I said, she's already committed to doing the Arbor Day program, so maybe she can come up with ways to even expand upon that. I think it would have to be an in-person meeting.
Oh, you need to be, because
Follow-on meeting to have a discussion about how we participate. And then,
Our next.
like Sue said, we're all busy.
Is,
so-
is January 10th. I know it does.
Is that enough?
But that's,
time
I
to-
think, that's too far out for her. And, I don't know how easy it's going to be to have Corinne, bring Corinne in on something, because I don't know when she'll be back. She said she'll be back for the January meeting, but I imagine she's going to spend some time overseas with her mother right now. And Amanda would be easy to get. Like I said, I don't see Amanda saying no to this either.
Well, if we said that we would do it today, how soon do we have to have?
I would work with you on that.
I mean, Christmas is coming and I don't have, I just got over being sick, so I don't have a lot of time between now and January.
Possibilities, like.
Yeah, I think, right. I think Kyla's idea of doing a planting kind of piece is a great idea, because if we are going to be planting anyway, we could just use that and build on that and, take a couple of those plantings and make it into, here's, a community event where come and see how to correctly plant, or install a tree. And I mean, it would be kind of simple. I don't think it would take a lot of work to organize something like that. And the city will certainly be there and help with the outreach, the public outreach. We have, someone on staff that does that on a daily basis, and then certainly they would help with that.
Would this thinking that if we did some kind of workshop. Pay for. having to show it,
Yeah, I
plant
think
tree.
this, they would get a stipend. Yeah. Like somebody to really do something good, big. Often spending my, there is,
We like
so
you.
Natalie, what is the local match on this? Anything?
There's
There
no
is no
match.
local match, so it's just putting together the project and a budget and going through that, so. Can we at least maybe get a motion from a commission member to move forward with Kyla working directly with Natalie to develop some options, and then we can circulate those via email. Everybody can weigh in and say yay or nay, and I think then we can at least let Natalie go forward with putting the program together and getting the application in. Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, I imagine the Kingston Land Trust would probably be. Yeah. Okay, so Evan has made that a motion. I volunteered, Tyler, are you okay with that? I should have turned around and asked her first. Okay, so Evan's made a motion. Can I have a second? Tebby, second. Okay, motion and a second on the floor. Any question? All in favor? Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Another grant report.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys. See you tomorrow. Okay, so certification, no, not yet. No, he's gone through all the coursework.
He's just studying for the test.
Yep, he is studying. He is intending to do that in 2023. But he's got all the coursework done, so he's,
He did-
I'm sorry.
did he do that for me?
He did it, trying to think of who he did it through. It wasn't through Cornell. No, it was,
Another one.
yeah, no, he was working, John Duvall was helping him. So, yep. Okay, so the grant program for the planting, there is no update really to give you. We do have, the budget, where we've encumbered the monies. So the spring planting will take place. That's 30 trees. Spring. I have it written down, Steve. 21, okay. All right. So, and those will be going in the springtime, and the same company that did the fall planting is been engaged to do the spring planting, and they actually, they all looked really, really nice. I saw a couple of them go in my neighborhood, and they were good, healthy trees, and then the people are taking good care of them in light of even the drought that we had, so I was happy to see that. I have not gotten, I don't have anything new on Arbor Day, and obviously Amanda is not here tonight. So we'll hold off on that, but that is going to be at the Rondout Community Center. She, I guess, has touched base with Lindsay, or we put her in touch. Yeah. Yeah, but that's all in play, and the recreation department is on board, so we're good to go there. The tree ordinance, I know you guys, do you want to talk about that, Evan? You sent around some information.
I think like we had actually a meeting actually split to two. Then so we will, we went through all the updates. Then I think on November 8th, we also received a version, the comment from George. I think, like George
Okay.
provided some certain comments, and some of them actually align with some of our questions, right? Then like, and we have short discussion, then we believe that it might be better for us to talk or to discuss in a larger, like a larger section, right? Like, just it's easier sometimes just to talk about, like to comment like how are we going to update specific area, and
Okay,
that can be done, but majority of the, order has been updated, and I think what we can do, I think what we did was, there's a different color coding, and there's like some addition area, like, some
Okay.
extra, like the new area, then, which is make it more, detailed.
okay,
But like at the same time, if like the commission members, I think majority, we don't agree, we don't like it, we still can take it out and reverse back to the original. So we don't really delete it, we just like cross. out the
Right,
old
so
one.
it's easy to see what is new, what's old, and, okay, or what's been modified. Do you want to, schedule, do you have that kind of final version almost ready, or is,
Yeah, I think we have a final version ready, and yeah.
'Cause we're the
well,
three people
yeah.
that looked at
Yeah,
it.
no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, is it ready then to schedule, like, and maybe we can, get it out, circulate it, and have the commission all prepared to discuss it next month at our meeting, and then the commission members can come in with any questions or comments.
Stage that we can do that.
Okay,
A couple of questions that we had that we needed some input from, and like.
and you got that. So is there anything else that you need from staff or from George?
We just need like George to validate some area, right? Like,
Clarifications.
for example, the replanting, when the tree stem got removed, then like how deep, there's like how deep, like, or can they be replanted, the same area or like, something like that. And,
Okay.
like, sometimes there's like, the footage. It's just not really, I mean, that has been very long, it has been old, and so it might be updated, so that's just something we don't know, like, because
Okay,
now we have like small tree, medium tree, and large tree, and I think, Kayla, like, we have, we would need the web linkage, because like, we put all the like a small tree, medium tree, and large tree as the list. But I think like we try to refer back to this, like, the web linkage. And so you just, it will go back to the inventory.
right. I think what we wanted to do was to remove the actual list from the ordinance
Right.
and make it a standalone document
Yeah.
that could be referenced, obviously, in the code, but would allow for the commission the flexibility to update it on a regular basis or as needed, whether that's annually or if there's something that comes up and it needs adjusting, you can do it more readily than if it's in the ordinance. So that was one thing we were looking for. And that's simple enough to do.
So we just have this, like, okay, what the different definition of a small tree, definition of
Okay.
a large tree, a definition of medium tree, then like say, okay, then we just say, okay, instead of what, I mean, currently it's a list, but I think ideally we are having the language that please refer to the following web page.
Like,
And
okay,
then, like, when you click it and it, or, at least like we will know, like it will go to the.
so like a small tree, you want you want some kind of just a broad general definition that would say that, it's a tree that can be planted within a certain size tree pit that wouldn't mature to a height greater than, and some examples might be, but then for the list of approved small trees, click here kind of thing. That's kind of the way you're trying to set it up. Okay,
Yeah, I would say about that,
of E code. Okay. Okay. I might have to, you might have to actually refer them
So in the
and
code,
say,
it might
look
have
at the
this-
city website at, kind of thing. Might have to be spelled out. Yeah.
And that's fine, because I think we
Yeah.
still can take out that portion and we say.
Okay.
like a tree inventory list and, then we'll spell it out, like, where is that located?
So do you want to then meet, you want to talk with George between now and next month and get a final version as whatever else you need from George, or us, and then we can.
I think we can, I think the final version can be circulated.
Okay, all right.
I think the format can be a little bit awkward because like there's a lot of reference, it just out of place because it haven't been finalized, so there'll be some,
Okay.
yeah, just like you have to bear with us, and once we, have a final version, we clean up and like, it be more, it can look nicer.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
The information, George had made some comments based on
Yeah.
version eight. Incorporated those already, or?
I look at George, I will double check again. I didn't want to
Yeah,
make.
I wasn't sure which version.
Yeah.
Somehow I couldn't get George's comments. I don't know if I wasn't looking right but I'll look again.
Okay,
I think I can
Need
try
help?
to
So
schedule,
just-
like, I'll go look at that again tomorrow.
okay, so if you guys want to, yeah, just double check the work and make sure that George's comments are in there. And then, if you want to send that to Kyla and I, we'll make sure that it gets out there to everybody. And I'll schedule that for next month to look at, okay, and spend some time on, okay?
Yep.
All right. George, you can sit at the table if you want. You don't have. Right. Okay, good. All right. The next item on the agenda is the new zoning. This is really, Corinne is really working on this a lot. But she feels that, as a commission, you should be looking at certain sections. I know I had given out a couple of, areas that I think should be looked at first. Unfortunately, as I said, she can't be here. But I talked with her and I think she wanted to do it at a regular meeting. I think it's more than just a regular meeting, and it should be a standalone meeting of the commission at some point in January. Where we take a good look at a couple of the sections, particularly the streetscape section, which deals with street design. And this is the perfect opportunity for the commission to weigh in on, how that reads and how street trees are being required. There are some other sections of the code as well that I think need to be looked at, and I pointed them out. So hopefully that will get in that discussion. So what is the commission's thoughts on setting up a separate meeting just to look at that? I mean, there, you would have to look at it in advance. I mean, and we've given the website out a couple of times now, and I would hope that maybe you've started to look at the document. Yeah. That's why I'm saying really focus on the streetscape set for this commission. The planning board is gonna have to do a little bit bigger dig, but so and you should be looking at it for that too, but I think Corinne is right. And, we've been asking commission members for your thoughts on it for a while now. And I think it's time to, this is an opportunity, for you to put some language in a code that's going to be used for, years to come. And making, street trees maybe a more prominent, and landscaping more prominent in any project, whether it's a city infrastructure, as we saw tonight, which they're finally incorporating a lot more trees and coming to us and talking to us about what trees would be appropriate for them to put, in their specs when they go out to bid. This is likewise an opportunity to influence developers, and let the developers know upfront that these are important things. Okay.
How does the tree zone it together.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the zoning is another part of the code. It's all part of the city code. And the street tree ordinance, obviously, we want that, we'll want that to kind of coexist. And then that'll continue on, and that basically gives the commission the authority and to review street trees. But in the code itself, if you look at the section that I'm referring to, it actually, it's a form-based code, so it deals with more design, form, and function. And so streetscapes are critical elements of that. So it'll speak to actually putting trees in streets, whether they're new, definitely when they're new streets being designed. And then the individuals will, and there's a section in there referring them to the tree commission. So it does speak to the commission in the new code. So it kind of pulls it over to you.
The tree ordinance also.
Yeah, it outlines and it sets forth the, it enables you to actually act as a commission. Yeah, it sets you up, it defines your membership, it defines your, what your responsibilities are. So what your authorization is. Okay. I just want to go back to 25 and I'm going to pass out for you, with Wilbur. This was a complaint that we received where an individual removed a tree in a public right of way. We notified them of the removal. They do have an easement with the city of Kingston. George, I'll give one to you. So we notified them, they have an easement that the city granted them. And this tree is within that easement area. Where we have differing opinions about what that easement enabled them to do. I don't necessarily think that they were allowed to remove this tree without coming to the tree commission first. This is in here. You're going to see our letter to them. The original email that came from a property owner in the Rondout or the Wilbur area. And then it also includes the individual's response back to us yesterday. And this is being reviewed right now by our corporation counsel. So I'm just giving this to you tonight for informational purposes only. Whether or not it will get resolved outside of this commission, I don't know, but certainly the commission will probably be asked to weigh in next month on this. So I'm giving you the background now so you can look at it. If you have questions, please call me or Kyla is familiar with this as well. So that I wanted to give that. And 93 Hoffman Street, that is that dangerous tree. That was the complaint. I have not heard from them. So that's why, and I had wanted them to come to the meeting tonight, but they're not here. So I'm going to speak to Corporation Counsel about that one and see what our options are there as well. And that's all I have for tonight.
Can you refresh my memory a little bit on how
93 Hoffman, that was a neighbor that complained about a tree on an adjoining property, continuously dropping its limbs into the public right of way. So yeah, but it's leaning in the direction of the private property, not the street, but the limbs that are falling into they're falling on the sidewalk and partially into the street. So Hoffman Street is just off of Broadway, where the Midtown Andy Murphy Center is on Broadway, the Midtown Neighborhood Center.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. The street that's right
Okay.
adjacent to that is Hoffman. Yeah, the neighbor owns, she's not a neighbor, but not a direct neighbor, but she's a resident of Wilbur. And she's involved, that individual is involved also with the Kingston Land Trust, and they have a community park there. So that's how she recognized. And this tree was quite large. It was, oh, if you look at the pictures, it was over 100 feet tall. So it's noticeably gone. There was another tree very close by it that got struck by lightning. And the DPW did go, and that one was damaged by lightning. So the DPW did go and remove that one so that it wouldn't be a threat, a public, safety issue. Okay, so that'll come up next month. Yeah,
Oh, is
I,
that in?
and actually, I'm sorry, I did misspeak. I do have one other that isn't on the agenda tonight, so I do want to talk about that one.
I remember.
Remove the tree.
You remove a tree, you go to jail, okay. I do have one other that I'm gonna pass out. It actually involves two adjoining properties. So there's 21 Prince here first, take that first, and then I'll also give you 25 Prince Street. Here's 25, and this is just a pruning. This came in today, so I didn't even, there's 25 as well. It involves both properties, they're neighbors. Pass that down to George, please. So the tree is, there's two trees. One sits in front of 21 and one sits in front of 25. Both trees are impacting the structure at 25 Prince Street. So they are looking, and they've talked to Limber Tree Services, who have come over and given them a quote to just prune up some of the bottom limbs and where there are affecting their porch and their roof. And that's really all it is. It's pretty much a straight pruning project. Limber is very good, as most of you are aware. They're trusted tree service. They've got the appropriate insurances. So my recommendation would be to approve this and allow the pruning to take place with all the general conditions that we put on with that. Any questions?
25. Affecting the property at 21.
No, just the reverse. The tree, there's two trees, one at 21 and one at 25. And both of them are growing and impacting 25. So 25 is actually the one that is paying for the work to get done, the pruning work, but both property owners are consenting. Just one, I think we can incorporate it. It's one project. It's
But
just
it's
two
two trees.
properties. Right, so they filed it with two separate applications because there are two trees and two properties. Okay. Be approved. Okay, so Evan is making a motion. Is there a second? Okay, Vince is seconded. There's a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, carried.
The only question I have is about locust trees in general. They have a propensity to have brittle limbs, they fall all over the place. I agree that this really to take care of. A couple of locust trees.
Yeah.
any ice storms, this last ice storm we had, and this.
Okay, so is there anything else that anybody would like to discuss?
One thing, the tree plantings on Franklin Street, we have any, we get an update on that or what they're doing there?
What they did with this project? You mean the ones that,
No, this was the, at the end.
right,
of
but it's
Franklin.
right, but it's involved, that that's part of that project. It's kind of an extension of that
So
project.
I've seen an open noble that indicated the project is complete,
Right,
almost complete.
right.
Yet I don't see any tree plantings.
No, they're in. Yeah, they're on.
Planted
Yeah,
on Franklin Street.
yep. Yeah, they've gone in. I'm almost positive, right? Yeah, I think that was the
Another-
part of it.
There was a couple of plantings closer to the Wall Street side. I didn't see any in Frank, the upper part, Franklin, Broadway side of Frank.
Okay. I'll
Maybe they did.
I'll confirm that. Yeah, they planted, what, 20 something.
Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I mean, I was down there. Didn't see anything new there.
Okay,
I know the, curbing and sidewalk.
right.
Like they made them space,
No, they,
4x4 tree rows.
okay, I'll double check it, but I believe that everything's gone in.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Okay,
Either. Yeah. But you haven't been down there.
great. Yeah, she lives right on Franklin Street.
I know I had some dialogue with her
Yeah,
last week. She heard that
okay.
maybe they did. No. Yeah, something was going on, but
I'll check. Okay. So I need a motion to adjourn. Sure. Oh, yeah. Can you just turn the mic on for yours, either one?
Yeah, we met with, west of Hudson here in Newburgh at the, beginning of October. And then we had a meeting about 2 weeks ago, December 2nd, east of Hudson, like in Westchester. We had about 35 different municipalities and people there and stuff. And what we're talking about is, options to improve our grant programs because we don't have very good compliance. And especially with our inventories and management plans, they're pretty much 95% going to waste than that. So a lot of people are sending in comments, a lot of the municipalities, and we're asking for comments. And I just kind of sent that to you guys because, saying if you want to have something to say, please say it. And that, what we kind of got started with is that, we were handing out, and I'll make this available here. If you're interested, I have 3 handouts here. One is like an urban forester. Got that because I was working with Newburgh and 2 other places. And, they were hiring part-time urban foresters or to advise their commission and stuff. And it's not working out because they're not being specific enough as to what that urban forester does. And that they should go to meetings and, like that. So I came up with guidelines for them. And then I kind of said, why not just make them available to everybody? And that, so I just have that here, just something to think about, and that, the other thing that we're thinking about is that we're planning to have like a workshop, and this is just a proposal. And that, it's called, is it time to hire an urban forester? And it basically discusses three different things. Why do you need one? What do you look for in hiring an urban forester? And how do you get funding for it? So we just thought that it was a kind of a timely thing to have. I got like just 4 copies here, but I just thought I'd make that available because the question comes up oftentimes, why? And is it worth it? And that, and frankly, at this point, Orange County planning and Westchester County planning are both thinking for an urban forester for the and the general consensus is countywide. And that, although some cities, if they're big enough, maybe this will go in that direction. But at this point, that's kind of what the talk is. And that some of this can be done under our grants, under maintenance. And that I'm trying to put it under in the future. We're having discussions about putting it under inventory and management plans that they would go with having an urban forester or a municipal arborist. And I say municipal because municipal arborist is like the next stage up from the regular arborist. And they basically have to know a bit about planning and bureaucracy. And actually, because it's very hard to find an arborist that wants to work with a city. Because,
Democracy.
take down a tree, it costs $3,000 and you do it in a day. And you can spend months talking to a city and, it doesn't pay the same. So anyway, so we have like urban forester, municipal arborist hiring options. And so these are just kind of informational things that are out there. And I've got one copy of this where I've been handing out a little bit about a description of what an urban forester is and that, and we've been working with some colleges in New York State, because right now it's very hard to find an urban forester or municipal arborist. So, so we're working with a whole bunch of groups just starting the conversation. And that I just have one of these that you might just want to hold on to. Here. Yeah. Yeah, even the College of Environmental Science and Forestry, which used to have a very strong urban forestry program, it's not kind of there. They're in Syracuse, and that it might
Staff
be
probably
ESF.
is- Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not that it's not there. I think maybe it's perhaps that there isn't these conduits to get people to it. Otherwise, out in the rest of the United States, outside of the Northeast here, there's basically municipal arborists. And most bigger cities, even medium-sized cities down south and out west have municipal arborists, and it's just something they do, and that, but we don't do that. So, the idea is to bring that arborist and that urban forester down to the level of either bigger cities, especially like really big cities like Yonkers or something, but it depends on the city and that, and it can be a part-time arborist, but there are different ways of doing it and that, but the whole idea is that the model of like like what I do is, having one person. That's nice, you can give information and stuff, but it really doesn't, it's just not there to do the actual what needs to be looked at. And when it's county wide, at least it's starting to get down to that level, and that. So there was concerns that a county arborist, urban forester, I shouldn't say arborist because it's more than an arborist, wouldn't have enough time for everybody, but I don't, I basically say that's not the problem. And that, so anyway, we've been having that discussion, and so any input on that is great, because Right now, there's federal money under the IR, Inflation Reduction Act. That's going to urban forestry, $400 million. And they're looking at job creation and stuff. So what we're looking at is can we get these urban forester types of jobs down to the level of maybe, high school BOCES? This is just throwing out ideas, moving up to a community college and have that there, and go further than that, but at least that starts to get it down to urban, urban youth and urban people that want to do it. Because right now it's not there. It's basically, the Morrisville is starting up a program, SUNY Morrisville. But again, they're basically, upstate, not near the city. So we need to, make the case that these are good paying jobs. And, and they're available to people, city dwellers too, And that, so, and the last thing, I only have one page of this that we didn't hand out at the thing is this is the seedlings program for in New York State. So starting in January, it'll be online. And like everything else, it has a lot fewer choices this year. And that, but anyway, there's a list on the back that's what's available kind of, and these are all seedlings that are, bare root and about maybe a foot and a half high,
Bundles of 10 or 50?
around 25 and
Oh,
then
25.
it goes up to 50
Okay.
or 100 and that, but yeah, they're usually less expensive, so. And that, so I just wanted to throw that out. Anybody wants any tree books? I think I brought them last time. I think there's some extras here, so. There. And my main concern was when we were talking were the focus of where you're gonna plant the trees, and I think you have that solved. So, yeah, the whole idea is that, they want to know where.
Yes.
That's about the one thing that they really want to know, And that, so any input that you have on this and
Yeah.
stuff, and the other thing is that the grant, the state grant is supposed to come out in early next year, and they keep saying January, February in there. And that, and under that grant, one of the that I keep bringing up to everybody now is that maintenance section and about hiring an urban forester, either
Okay.
on a contract, it would have to be a contract because that's the way it has to be done.
Okay.
under
Well, hopefully Ryan Kuhn from our DPW will be getting his certification next year. That's the goal. He's gone through the coursework and he is studying to take the test. So and we do have the money in the budget to pay for that to happen. So
But you see the descriptions on this would
Yeah.
be, is
but
taking
this is a level above
Taking
that.
it-
I
taking it-
get what you're saying. Yeah.
inserting it into your planning
Yep.
process,
Yeah. No, I understand.
Is because your your tree ordinance. And then you also have the sidewalk ordinance. So it's like the tree ordinance, the sidewalk ordinance, and then the zoning ordinance. So, but then the zoning ordinance really, the other things interpret it a bit, but the zoning ordinance is what's going to make the biggest difference, I think, for Kingston.
Yeah.
That's like an extremely important thing to make sure that you do have the space for the trees and the designs that people actually want. Because otherwise nobody's going to let you plant trees. If they're nervous about, storms, ice storms and things, got to get the right tree in the right place. So anyway. Thanks.
I had it last week, but I'm sitting around at home.
Okay, so then if there is nothing else now, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Okay. Anything on the question? Okay, all in favor? Aye, okay. I have some, but if you want, okay, all right. Okay, so we